And here we are. We're starting up. Thanks for the subscription, bruh. By my counts, I think we're at 250 with that one. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Sorry, my dog here, Oliver, has decided to be a butt and really start nosing himself into my cats. And now he's staring at one of them. She's right down here. How are we all doing tonight? Oliver here is just fallen in love with the cats like the last few minutes for whatever reason. He's just been obsessed with them. And here comes Maisie. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Are you gonna be friends? So black doggy, rejoice in his cuteness. Yes. Hello, Shara. How are you doing? You got Oliver, and this is Maisie. Maisie's about 3 months old, 4 months old, and Oliver is 12 years old. There you go. And Oliver, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Okay. He looked at me for those who don't know. You didn't see it. Alright, buddy. Here you go. This is what I've been seeing. He's not mounting her, he's just nosing her. Alright, now you're grabbing her. Alright, Oliver. No. No means no, Oliver. Hi, Blake. Alright. Oh my gosh, cats would die if I introduced the dog into the mix, but they need their universe turned upside down. See, Oliver, when he was a puppy 10 years ago, actually more than 10 years ago now, we actually had 2 cats who were older than him. We had those 2 cats right around 2000 or so, and so Oliver, when he was a puppy, the cats were about 11 and 12. At least 11 and 12. I think one was about 13 or 14. And Oliver was, you know, a pain in the butt at times, but that was just because he was a puppy. As time went on, he got really used to the dog, really used to the cats, and the cats would play with him as much as they would. So then he went years. 2016 was when the second of the 2 cats ended up passing away. The first one died of old age, likely some other ailment that we didn't see. And the other one had a stroke, which was exactly how we were told he was going to go. He was just going to have a stroke one random day and he's going to go. He's going to wake up, he's going to be fine, and then on one day he's just going to go. And that's what happened. That was in March of 2016, so that was about 8 years ago. About 8 years ago. And so he's gone 8 years, 8 of his 12 years without a cat. And for the past couple of months he's had cats, and he hasn't done that for like a month. And he's been around them all day, every day. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Pretzel. How are you doing today? So what's been up with you? What's been up with you lately, buddy? You have fans, buddy. Oliver, look. Come here. You can't really tell, but he's looking. He needs a haircut, is what he needs. You good boy? You want some beer? Want some beer? Nope. Sorry for your loss. Don't worry. The one cat died over 10 years ago. The other one was 8 years ago. It's been a long time. And they both lived to be 16, so lived very long, healthy, loved lives. Cat died at 22. It was rough to say goodbye to a family member like that. It's more rough than people give it credit for when you lose a pet. A lot of times it's like, you lose a pet, and people are like, oh, you lost a pet. It's a lesser family member. Is it a human that you're biologically related to? No, but like Oliver here, Oliver's been in my life since 2011. Like, he is my buddy. I don't have a little brother. I'm the younger of two, so I have one older brother. This little guy, he's a lot like having a younger brother. Aren't you? Yeah? You're just a good boy. Mm-hmm. And I have Heidi, my other dog. She's at my feet. But cats are having the litter box litter go everywhere. Kevin, how are you this fine evening? I am fine this fine evening. Nick, doing just fine. How are you? Last night, I made my first orchestra rehearsal in a long time. It was like a month. So it was awesome to finally make it to an orchestra rehearsal last night. They sell dog and cat beer at PetSmart and other places. I'd believe it, but I don't think this guy's gonna ever drink anything but water. Like, you put anything in front of him that's not water, he's not gonna drink it. Right? Right? Heidi down here, she's drank coffee before. And that was a funny sight when she got coffee. You doing fine as well? Fantastic. Hey, buddy. But anyways, I don't know how many of you were able to catch the recap video on the Phase 2 of the ChatGPT cinematic universe, but it went up on Sunday. I want to say it went up on Sunday. I was able to get it made over the weekend. It was kind of funny. I woke up on Saturday, I did some other work, hung out outside with the dogs, and that night I sat down and I just belted out like majority of the edit, if not all of the edit. Like Friday and Saturday nights, I busted out the edit, and it was like, I didn't even plan to do it. I just sat down and did it. And it was just like, I just happened to be at my computer and just do it. It's like my brain went on autopilot. It was weird. It was a good weird. But I got some stuff ordered. I'm hoping to go back in front of the comic book wall and record videos over there. For those who are unaware, a lot of my videos, there's a comic book wall behind me. That happens to be behind that jutted out wall by that door by the dresser. To record back there thus far, I've had to like almost move this setup over there, or make a version of my setup over there. And it sucked. I hated doing it. And so I've since wanted to record back over there, but make it easier on myself. So I've got a method in mind. It's purely theoretical on how it's going to work. So here's hoping that this method works and I can record videos over there easier. That's part of the reason why that Avatar video is recorded here, you know, in this point of view rather than being over there. Congrats on the hard work. You find, you know, as soon as you don't want to stop. Exactly. That's exactly it. And as a matter of fact, I think with that subscription by Bruh about 10 minutes ago, I think we just crossed the 250 mile subscriber mark. We've been flirting with it like the last week or so. Let's see here. Cross it over. Yep, we officially crossed the threshold. 250 subscribers. Fantastic. We'd go to like 249, and then we go to 248, and then we'd go to 249, and then we go back to 248. And we went back and forth for like 5 days. Every day we get one and lose one. And now we're at 250. Which Hulk got bashed up by Thanos, red or green? In Infinity War, it was the green Hulk, because Red Hulk doesn't exist until Captain America 4, and that's not out yet. Exactly, I have no doubt you're gonna kill it. Thank you. You want me to keep holding you? Oh, okay, yeah, that's a yes. Okay. How about if I just let you sit on my lap? Does that work for you? Does that work for you? You'll be in my lap, but I will not be holding you in my arms because I need to use the computer. Are you happy, dog? Are you a good boy? Is Bobo a good boy? He's not licking me. He normally licks me. Cannot wait for Deadpool 3 this summer. Oh my god. I can't either. That movie's gonna be great. I'm like anyone can wait for what like beautiful monstrosity Deadpool 3 is gonna be. I mean that in the best possible way. Dad missed out on that scene when Thanos bashed Hulk up in Infinity War. How did he miss out on that scene? He had to go to the bathroom like 5 minutes into the movie? We're in the first scene. Was he just late getting to the movie? I remember when I went to go see Infinity War, the theater I went to did not take reservations. So you couldn't reserve your seats. It was a genuine theater. You walk up in line and order your ticket at the usher. And we had a rehearsal that night, and for a band rehearsal, or at least I did, and I met with a buddy of mine who wasn't in rehearsal. And so we get to the theater, and there are like 5 grand total open seats in the entire screen. But there's there's one here, 2 here in the very front, right next to each other, like front row. You're craning your neck to watch the movie. And it's like, at the time, that was the longest MCU movie ever, like 2 hours 35. And we're like, yeah, we're not doing that for 2.5 hours. It's like, we want to see this movie so bad, but we're not going to do that. But if we went back, there was a seat on the edge, then 2 seats taken, and then a seat open. So there's like 2 seats with 2 people sitting in between. So we asked them if they could scoot down just 1 seat, and we could take the edge. And me and my buddy, we snuck in, not necessarily snuck in, we paid our way in, but we were able to sneak out 2 seats about 3/4 of the way down, and actually had really nice seats to watch Infinity War. Your dad had to get the bag, which had your iPad in it. That's why he missed out. Oh, okay. It was a great scene. I mean, it was a great way to show Thanos being like an intimidating fighter with no infinity gems. Like, it was a great way to show off Thanos' skill. Alrighty. But yeah, I think we're just about to start. We're about 20 minutes. You alright there, buddy? He shook his head and he hit my armrest. You alright there, buddy? Alright, Oliver's sitting in my lap. He's probably gonna lay his head on my arm here. Doom or Etrigan? Just because I like Doctor Doom, I'm just gonna say Doctor Doom. Have we watched What If Season 2? Most of it. I forget, what's the newest one? What's the newest episode? How far? I watched, like, Star-Lord. Like, Ego picked up Star-Lord. I watched that one. And, of course, I'm not logged into Disney Plus on my PC. 1 second here. In, and of course the password was changed, so I didn't log in. I know I watched that episode, and I watched Nebula be a detective. That was a good episode. Doctor Doom is such a complicated character, and makes no sense to introduce him in the MCU without the Fantastic Four. That is very, very true. I agree, Kira. 100%. Etrigan Funko Pop Saturday. You got another one today. You got another Funko Pop or another Etrigan Funko Pop? You got 2 Etrigan Funko Pops, or 2 new Funko Pops. One of them happens to be Etrigan. I'm just trying to understand here. Also, those I don't think they've popped up yet. Yeah, they haven't popped up yet. Should be popping up here very soon. Those Discord links that pop up in chats, I finally updated those. So those should actually be good links. My parents are on vacation, and they're watching a movie on a cruise ship. I'm not going to share the photo because I don't think I can actually share this photo, but they're watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on lawn chairs on the deck of a cruise ship. I'm so jealous. I actually just watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 like a few weeks ago. Another Etrigan Funko Pop, so today you have 2 of them. Wow. Was really surprised how much I enjoyed Young Justice's version of Etrigan in Season 4 Phantoms. I haven't watched all of Young Justice. I don't think I made it past Season 1, and it's not for lack of liking the show. I just haven't sat down to watch it. Like, I could do it in my lunch breaks, but on my lunch breaks, I've been rewatching all of Mythbusters and Whose Line Is It Anyway? I love Mythbusters. So I've been, like, I could probably watch Young Justice, like, once I'm sick and tired of watching Mythbusters and Whose Line. I could probably rewatch that. Etrigan is incredible. I love Etrigan. I loved him in, Justice League, was it Justice League Dark? The animated movie with John Constantine and Batman? Wasn't Etrigan in that one? I know he was in, Dark Apocalypse War. That one, he was hilarious in that one, because he was, like, Etrigan's so sad he stopped rhyming. 2 Darkseid Funkos and 2 Red Hulk Funkos. Awesome. Yeah, I personally have never gotten into Funko Pops, but for the collections that I see that people have of them, they look really fun to collect. It's just my collection is just different. He's a really great character, and Jason Blood is definitive hottie in most of his incarnations. I wouldn't know. There's the links. Those links are now good. They should work. I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna click myself. That link did work. So you can go in and use those links for Discord. I finally updated it. A lot of the stuff in there is gonna be a little old because I'm salvaging this Discord page, this Discord channel from my old days streaming on Twitch. I say old days, like 3-4 years ago I used to stream on Twitch regularly then, and I had the Discord then. So it's salvaged from that era of my content. So some of the stuff is going to be a little older. There's going to be a lot of gaps, and it's going to take some editing on my part to update it. But it's there if you guys want to join the Discord. Lots of oldies but goodies and stuff in there. So yeah, the Justice League cartoon with Etrigan in the League turned into children is hilarious. Oh, that's the one. I just heard cats just ran down the stairs. Kitty, 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 kitty. Do I know the character from DC called Bonk? No. I want to know as much as possible about Bonk. I love the name. Just like cartoon with Etrigan, Justice League turned into children. Like, that was Justice League Unlimited, wasn't it? Wasn't that Justice League Unlimited? But anyways, let's recap the ChatGPT cinematic universe before we actually end the stream. Let's actually get to that. What's my opinion on public domain superheroes? Like when Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and like Spider-Man much later, like go into public domain. It's gonna be the original versions of the characters. Like New 52 Superman won't go into public domain, but Joe Shuster, Jerry Siegel Superman would go public domain. And so, I mean, it's like Steamboat Willie going public domain. So technically Mickey Mouse went public domain. And it was a fad for like a week and a half, and then people stopped caring. As long as you make good content with it and not just stick to shitty horror movies, then I think we're gonna be fine. Plays Etrigan, Lego Batman 3. Fantastic. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made me ugly cry. Could not sit through that film again. It's a good ugly cry. Though, like, it hit me hard. I remember like a year ago going to the theater and seeing it and just being like, oh my god, this is like the best Guardians movie. And it was like, like there were jokes in it, but the movie was never not serious. And it was a good, like, serious movie. Like, seeing Star-Lord actually flip his shit every other scene was just incredible. Careful, sorry if this like gets loud here. Imagine a Batman horror movie with the original Bill Finger and Bob Kane Batman, like where he actually has a gun and shoots people. That would be, I think that would just kind of fall into that, you know, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey kind of like shitty horror movie. Personally, that's where I think it's gonna go. Because we will just want to make that shock factor, seeing those characters in those scenarios. So to recap the ChatGPT cinematic universe, watching the videos, because in the videos I shouldn't say all I do. Essentially what I do is I read the synopsis and then I read everything here without these like extra tags. I don't read these, and I basically read this word for word, and I'll add in context when needed. Red Hulk or Godzilla? Godzilla. Not even close. You're pitting a angry red dude against a walking nuclear reactor that shoots lasers from its mouth. Godzilla is gonna mop Red Hulk. If Thanos can beat Hulk/Red Hulk, Godzilla, it's not even close. Not even close. Not even close. So, we had a lot of characters die. We chose to have a lot of characters die because we had too many damn characters to start this whole thing, and we want to simplify things going into each new phase. So, we lost a couple of our anti-heroes. We lost Gale Guardian, Shadow Maven, and Icicle Monarch. Phoenix Guardian is alive, but she is not trusted by the rest of the heroes. She was put through a very not very well detailed betrayal of the heroes. The one thing with ChatGPT, and one thing that I'm learning of when it comes to ChatGPT, is it's very vague on what happens. So this is actually more of our thing than ChatGPT's thing. That's one thing I've learned as we've gone along with this AI stuff. Shame we have to wait until the final season of Umbrella Academy on Netflix until later this year. I watched like 2 episodes into season 2. I love that it's Gerard Way. I'm a My Chemical Romance fan, so like, I love that it's Gerard Way and that he wrote it, like, and plays some amount of a part in making it, because I've heard it's like a great adaptation. Though I loved season 1. I have not watched much of season 2. I know like they're in a bunch of like different time eras and they're all trying to find each other in time. It's weird because Umbrella Academy has a good weird to it. I was watching Umbrella Academy, and what did I watch with it that was also very good weird? Oh, Doom Patrol. I watched like Umbrella Academy and season 1 of Doom Patrol, the then DC streaming service, now HBO Max show with Brendan Fraser and Timothy Dalton. So funny, Looney Tunes back in action. Reunion there, for those who remember Looney Tunes back in action. And so it's like you have one dark, very strange and weird in a good way superhero show on Netflix, and the other one that's on the DC streaming app. Now it's HBO Max, because HBO Max absorbed the DC streaming app. Does anyone remember the DC streaming app back in like 2018 when DC Comics made an app for their own streaming service? I forget what they called it, but it was like I think they called it just the DC universe. And that's where Titans aired, that's where Doom Patrol aired. They had Swamp Thing. I think they were gonna put Stargirl on there, but they reserved it for the CW. And it was just weird. I've seen Misfits on BBC. Great intro to superhero teens and strange powers. I didn't. Is that a current show? Is this like a show from the past? I don't watch a lot of BBC. I don't watch a lot of stuff off the BBC. So, I know from getting back to this. Oh, hi Parker. Getting back to this. we have basically going into phase 3. The idea from our last stream about a month ago with this is we were talking about it. Phase 1 was subtitled Genesis. It's the start of this new world where chaos, the metaphysical being of chaos, creates these metahumans to interrupt and halt world peace being achieved. Phase 1 is all about introducing the heroes, and we have our team-up movie, and then it's very stereotypical phase 1 of a superhero universe. And then phase 2, we decided to not have direct sequels, but tell the story and continue everything. So like Phoenix Guardian, Psionic Oracle, who's now dead, Arrow Sylph, who's alive, who else? Chrono Warden, now deceased, sort of had a sequel, but it wasn't really his movie, but he did make the most of appearances out of that. And Spectre Surge, who didn't have a sequel. Many of our heroes didn't have sequels going into phase 2, and then the stories was really just like continuing everything with everyone working together. And so the movies were very like purposefully chosen. And that was my favorite part about it, was making only like 2 movies in a stream, but they're very carefully considered. And so we called phase 2 Redemption, where it was characters like trying to redeem themselves. Temporal Enchantress redeems herself in the eyes for the heroes and makes that transition to becoming a hero. Phoenix Guardian betrays the team, is working on redeeming herself. And then they're trying to redeem metahumans in the eyes of the world with the now deceased an enigmatic leader, now dead or defeated at the very least. You know, it's all about redeeming themselves. And then the third phase is going to be Revelations, and that's going to be the end of everything. How we finish the whole thing. So phase 3 of this thing is going to really be finishing things off. So briefly here, getting to share Doom Patrol is an amazing series. I think I signed up for Max to watch Young Justice Outsiders. Fantastic. Doom Patrol is great. If you haven't already, watch the DC animated movie universe. It's fantastic. Starts with Flashpoint Paradox, finishes with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And Apocalypse War is a hard R animated, like dark, like it's not like DC dark. It is just like, it is disturbing. It's it's probably one of the more disturbing superhero movies I've ever seen in the best way possible. Like, I won't say much. They're basically not giving too much away, but to give you an idea of what shit's in this movie. Some of the heroes get captured by Darkseid. I will leave who it is for you to watch. And they get half turned into parademons and turned into half cyborgs. Not like Cyborg, but like they are like half their body is just gone. And so they become like Cyborg in the sense that like the missing parts are made up by robots and mechanics. And they're now evil and working for Darkseid. Again, I'll leave which heroes those are for you all to watch the movie. It's only like an hour and 20, but it is a dense hour and 20. Not a scene is wasted in that movie, and it is. If I could do a watch party on it, I would show it on stream. It is, or at least find a way to do it on stream. It is fantastic. So, going into phase 3, I want to have our. And by the way, these like recap lists are pointless. The ChatGPT did a horrible job recapping phase 2 and telling us which characters are available for phase 3. So I think for phase 3, we just pull on the characters that already exist and only use the ones that we feel are necessary, just to kind of keep things simple. So coming out of phase 2, I think a big thing that we need to address right away going into phase 3 is Phoenix Guardian and her betrayal. We never found out what Phoenix Guardian did. But what we know is that Phoenix Guardian was held against her will to betray the team. And so when she was held against her will to betray the team, of course they didn't like that. So I think we need to have one of our first projects kickstart and really continue Phoenix Guardian's what's the word? I hate to use the term redemption arc. I feel like that's thrown around all the time. But to use that to really push forward. And I think also, before we really like kickstart into phase 3, is to have a clear end. Because I don't want to do a phase 4. I know this making this is fun, but you know, I don't want to do a phase 4. I really kind of don't. I think it's important that what we do here has an end. So, that being said, I think it's smart to have an idea of where we're going to start, and then a pretty solid idea of how it's going to end. So I think a great place for us to start at is working on Phoenix Guardian. One thing as well with the next phase is Dr. Imperfect is still on the loose, so Dr. Imperfect can still be used. Chaos has been defeated. The enigmatic leader has been defeated. For all intents and purposes, there are no villains. So we have to be creative with what our heroes are going to be up against. So in that regard, we could go into different types of movies and use different types of movies for inspiration. Not that we should use this movie, but like Napoleon Dynamite, having a slice of life type movie where it's like, where's the climax of Napoleon Dynamite? Probably the class election, but like that's not for Napoleon, that's for Pedro. Like, I know it's a weird analogy for a movie, but it's like that movie is like complete opposite to a superhero movie. There's not a ton of drama to Napoleon Dynamite, and so we can maybe have a movie where it's a slice of life, or maybe a bit more less superhero movie-ish. Like, what's a great superhero movie that doesn't really follow that format of hero, villain, mash, one wins, next movie? You know, what movie in the superhero movie catalog does not really follow that format? I'm trying to think here. Because the vast majority, 99% of superhero movies are going to follow that format of hero, villain, throw them together. Because you have, like, I guess Civil War, in a way, wasn't that. I mean, you still had Zemo pulling the strings, but it was very much our heroes going up against each other and having that question of security and freedom being asked. Well, we don't really need a Civil War movie. Like, we've had our, you know, betrayal of inside the team. They fought, and we don't really need a Civil War type movie, but having that idea of it's not always, the antagonist isn't always a villain. It doesn't mean our hero has to be evil, but like, you have person versus person, you have person versus environment, you have person versus person versus self. So what if there's a person versus self of Phoenix Guardian, where Phoenix Guardian tries to redeem herself? But what if her redemption is like, what if she has to redeem herself for herself? Like, redeem herself from herself? What if there was something else underlying with her? Like how Raven has Trigon in her Ruby, right? And there's something going on at all times with Raven in DC Comics. What if there's something similar in concepts, not in like literal, like Phoenix Guardian has, you know, has not a ruby but a sapphire or an emerald that's like in her chest that houses her demon evil father, you know, because that stuff doesn't exist in this universe. What if there's something mentally going on that she has to get through, something psychological? Make it like a psychological thriller, person versus self, Fight Club meets it'd be interesting, like if there was like a Fight Club type movie where it's like it's the main characters against themselves, but it's not the Fight Club twist we're after, where it's the main character is both, like the one person is both people, or both of the people are the same person, I should say. Am I making sense at all? I feel like I'm rambling at this point, trying to come up with ideas. Because I think the end of the universe, there should be a clear end. Like the last movie should finish this on a high note. So, and I think it'd be smart to finish it on a stereotypical, traditional, formatted superhero movie. That should be the last movie. Because the movie, the universe started in this, the lore of this universe is that peace was about to be, world peace was being achieved, right? World peace was being achieved, and just as before that's about to happen, chaos intervenes, explodes this neutron star, and creates metahumans. And creating superheroes causes the world to unravel, because now you have a bunch of people, about 30 or so, who have superhuman abilities. And this then causes them to go down being superheroes. And so phase 1 only lasts about probably a few weeks in terms of in-universe time. And then this leads into phase 2, which probably equally lasts a few weeks, maybe a year. Phase 2, and with phase 2, that brings up the enigmatic leader, you know, going up against the metahumans. Look, we were all, you know, we're all doing great, and then they showed up. No one knows about chaos and the neutron star explosion except for the metahumans. They researched that in that like Dawn of Discord mini-series to start phase 2. And then immediately after that, the enigmatic leader shows up and starts like outlawing metahumans after he becomes president of the world, because if world peace is being achieved, there has to be some sort of like world government, or at least, you know, world center, and there has to be some sort of leader there. So in this universe, to make it simple, there's a world president, and the enigmatic leader becomes that person, becomes that figurehead, becomes that leader, and then starts cracking down on superheroes, and that leads to the superheroes losing to him, then beating him, and then beating Chaos. Chaos finally comes back. And so that is where we leave off of phase 2, going in. There's no villains, so I think we should build up a villain while the heroes are trying to win back the court of public opinion. So one thing that I've been thinking of kind of in the back of my head leading up into this stream is, should the heroes, should every metahuman not survive? Because if every metahuman doesn't survive, then the world goes back to that beginning of like heroes are obsolete. Like one idea I also had was, what if one of these movies is similar to like X-Men 3 The Last Stand, but actually good, where you had a cure. Like, this is a cure for your superpowers. We can go back Actually, I like that idea. I'm gonna write that down for myself because I love that idea. What do you guys think of that idea? Like, were we like, now that the villains are gone, like, I think it's a good idea to kind of lean towards more like, rather than like hero and villain, you know, hero goes up against the villain movies, you have a more like, well, now that this is where the world is at, what if, you know, it's more of like asking the questions, should the heroes go back and being, you know, should they take a hypothetical cure to become normal again? There's no villains left. Like, we don't need heroes. We can go back. And the world was just fine before they showed up. If all the heroes go back to normal, then the world goes back to the way it was, and we can proceed where we left off like a year and a half ago, when everything was seemingly fine and we were going towards world peace. Oliver, it's okay, buddy. Oliver's still nosing the cats. That's just where my mind is going. So... Dr. Doom or Martian Manhunter? I don't know. I'd probably lead Manhunter because he can just make himself so little dense, like so minimally dense that he doesn't get hit by anything Doom does, but Doom's intelligence is next to no one. If you have the right writer for Doom, like, Doom is gonna mop Mark Manhunter, but if I were the writer, I'd probably go Manhunter. So I think one of the 5-6 movies that we do in Phase 3 should be an X-Men 3 Last Stand type story. Not where they bring in, like, Dark Phoenix, but definitely where they bring in that idea of the cure. Like, where what if that's Phoenix Guardian's movie? Like, we combine them, maybe. And so Phoenix Guardian tries to redeem herself in the eyes of the heroes, and by doing so, she tries to remove her own powers. And what if in her movie she succeeds? And this leads into a sequel of that idea, and she's able to then come up with the ideas to remove the powers from everybody else. And she tries to have everybody lose their powers. So what if her movie is her trying to console with the idea of whatever her betrayal was? And the movie would end with her succeeding in her discovery of, there is a cure. I can remove the powers from myself. And then she tries to get everyone else's powers removed, where it's like, we're not needed anymore. These powers are bringing only, destruction and shame, and, we don't need them anymore. The villains are gone. Chaos has been defeated. We won. Shouldn't we go back to, living our lives? That's a good question. And so I think we can make that a two-part. Like, maybe we save that for the finale. And we would have to be very careful with how it would be handled. Whether characters are curing themselves and getting rid of I shouldn't say curing themselves, but like removing their powers or deciding to live with them. And so that would be a great like maybe 2-part finale. We have maybe 3 to 4 movies leading up to that. And that would be a good idea, because then Phoenix Guardian, along the way, we can have like 3 or 4 movies go by of living in this world. And effectively having 3 to 4 movies go by would have maybe Phoenix Guardian tinkering with the idea. We have those seeds foreshadowed in place, and this leads up into the series, the universe finale of should they stay as heroes. They never chose that life, you know, but they've been in it for the last 2 years or so. And maybe there's a time jump. I think it would be a good idea to also have a time jump, maybe. Mangog or Bowser? Mangog. Bowser's just a fire-breathing turtle. Alright, Oliver, you're done. Nope, you're done. Come here. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're in the lap. So, I think that would be a great direction to go in. Does anybody else have any ideas? Like, this isn't just my thing, guys. So, if we do save this for a finale, which I think this idea is a good enough one for a finale of the universe, because the universe started without the choice. This idea was thrusted upon them, so now there's a choice to leave it behind. And maybe like with Phoenix Guardian opting to leave everything behind, then should some heroes choose to, you know, keep their powers? I think we can think about that as we go along. I think it's smart for Phoenix Guardian to lose her powers, and she'd be the one to figure things out. Chrono Warden's dead. There is no time traveling anymore. Psychic Oracle's dead. There is no precognition. So our heroes are Aerosylph, our Flight, and... God, stupid cat. She's clawing my fucking heel. No, go away. She was clawing my heel. And that was hurting. Aerosylph, who's our flying hero with controls over jet streams and things like that. You have Phoenix Guardian, our pyrokinetic, our fire hero. Temporal Enchantress, who was a time-based villain who could age and de-age objects. She is now a hero. Chrono Warden's dead. Psychic Oracle's dead. Spectra Surge, who has the power to create like energy fields and force fields and things like that. So you have those 4. Those are our 4 definitive heroes. And then you have a smattering of anti-heroes and villains like Dr. Imperfect, who I think Dr. Imperfect would still be a great choice to use as a villain to give Dr. Imperfect a send-off in her own way. We don't know the origin of Dr. Imperfect other than, like, we don't know, like, if Dr. Imperfect was originally a boy or a girl or old or young. We don't know. We know that Dr. Imperfect was at least minimum 18 to 20 years old. Can you fill in what we're doing? Yes. So we are coming up with phase 3 for a cinematic universe that is really written by us, but we're putting it through ChatGPT to kind of fill in the rest. ChatGPT is pretty vague and just kind of gives us that empty husk of ideas, something I didn't expect in the very beginning. So, coming out of Phase 2, we essentially had all our villains defeated. And so, we have, like, no villains other than a... Nick, I'll get to yours in a minute. I'm going to explain this first for Mr. Squid. So, we have all of our villains gone. The only villain we have is a shape-shifting villain who's a complete mystery named Dr. Imperfect, who is entirely chats like you guys, YouTube and Twitch chat created, not ChatGPT created. He was entirely created by humans. And so specifically Bully Maguire, the user Bully Maguire made him up, or made Dr. Imperfect up. We don't know if Dr. Imperfect is male or female originally. And so with the universe right now, we're going into a Phase 3 of 3. It's the finale phase, the last 5 to 6 movies or so. And coming out of this, we've lost a couple of our heroes. We only have 4 true heroes going into Phase 3. Those 4 heroes are Spectre Surge, who is an Icelandic hero who controls energy waves, but also can create force fields. You have Temporal Enchantress, who was originally a big villain, but eventually was redeemed in Phase 2 and became a hero. And she has the power to age and de-age things within the present. Then you have Phoenix Guardian, who went through a betrayal against her will in the finale of Phase 2, and she's a pyrokinetic, and she is trying to be redeemed in the eyes of her teammates and her friends. And so she has power to control and manipulate fire. She's Egyptian, by the way. And then the last hero that we have is Aerosylph, and she is a Brazilian flyer. She can fly and control wind currents and things like that. So she's kind of like Storm in that way. So another way you can think about it is we have Pyro from the X-Men, Storm from the X-Men, Violet from the Incredibles, and it's kind of like the Hourglass from superhero movie. We got one from Omegle when that was available a while ago. BOA, Blood Obstructing Agent. He is a snake-themed villain who can manipulate blood within a human, make a hemivore, or blood eater. Also, he just got sub. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the subscription. So, I love the idea. It's a really cool idea. I love the idea of a hemivore. Though, I don't... We can see if it will fit. I can't guarantee if it would fit or not. Damn cats. And so... that is a fun idea. Snake-themed villain who can manipulate the blood within a human. Just sort of wanted to share the idea. Feel free to add or whatnot. Yeah. I think it's I like the idea. It's fun. It's definitely fun. It's like bloodbending in Avatar. The idea that I had going into Phase 3, I'm sticking with the general big picture idea for what Phase 3 is. So like Phase 1 we called it Genesis because it was creating everything, or creating this new era of the world. And then Phase 2 is about redemption, where one of the big villains is coming to the hero's side, and the big villain is trying to tarnish the names of the heroes. And so it's about redeeming the heroes and it's about like redeeming the heroes, and one of the heroes ends up being a betrayer and is now trying to redeem herself going into Phase 3. So because I also want Phase 3 to be the end, I want to call it Revelations. And so the characters that I know I want to use are those 4 main heroes we talked about earlier: the Spectre Surge, Temporal Enchantress, Aerosylph, and Phoenix Guardian. And I want to use the villain Dr. Imperfect. So we have those 5. And then I had the idea earlier in the stream, Squid, that was using the same sort of plot device from X-Men 3 The Last Stand. As bad of a movie as that is, the idea of there being a quote-unquote cure for being a superhero, I think would be a great tool for maybe the finale of this, because since there is, as of right now, the only villain is Dr. Imperfect, to have the finale be a more of like the heroes questioning themselves in terms of like, should we not exist? The villains are gone. You know, maybe there's a 2-year time jump or something like that from phase 2 to phase 3 now that the villains are gone. The teams are broken up, but there's still superheroes around, so it's like, are they overstaying their welcome? And phase 3, can be about whether heroes should continue. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. And maybe we can use like non-superhero formatted movies where it's not like hero and villain, mash them up, see who wins. You know, you can get a little deeper and find and really ask those big questions. I think we can still have 1 or 2 of those like hero, villain, throw them together, see who wins kind of movies, which is what we pretty much had all up to this point. But this will be a pretty interesting direction for phase 3. So far we haven't had anything. It's been over an hour. I haven't typed a single character into ChatGPT yet because I've just been trying to figure up some idea for the next movie. If we only get one idea down, then that's fine by me, because I'm okay with this only being like a 5-movie or 5-project phase. You're enjoying this? Thank you. I'm glad that you're I'm glad you enjoy this. I love doing this stuff because we've been doing it. When was the first stream? I'm just gonna tab over here because I don't want you guys to see my personal stuff. Let me see, when was the first stream we did? Making the ChatGPT Cinematic Universe stream number 1. We started this on January 24th of 2024. So it's been a few months. It has been a few months in the making. And yeah. It took 3 streams to make, or 4 streams, excuse me. It took 4 streams to make phase 1, 3 streams to make phase 2, and this is our first stream for phase 3. I'm okay if we only get 1 real idea down, just because I want to get this at least put in the right direction. Like 1 project, that's what I mean, not by 1 idea, it's like get 1 project. So we're bridging the gap between phase 2 and phase 3. I want to stick, as of right now, I want to have in tentative place, like as like a plan for right now. We can change it as we go, but to have that like X-Men 3 Cure storyline for the finale, whether it's a 1-part or 2-part finale, we'll find that out later. But that's going to be the finale as of right now. So I want to hold off on that idea. Coming out of phase 2, the metaphysical being of chaos was defeated. That was our Thanos, if you will. And now we have an epilogue of a story. And the epilogue of the universe. Or the story within this universe. When am I live again? I don't know. I don't know, Nick. I don't mean to sound callous. You ask me every stream. I genuinely don't have a stream schedule because I have a full-time job and I try to make long-form videos and I have a side hustle on top of YouTube and I try to have a personal life. And so the streams are more of just when I have time and energy. Wednesdays are like the one day I know that I do have that. So if there's only a stream schedule, like Wednesdays are the day, and I try to get in what I can in between. I don't mean to sound callous. That's gonna be my answer every time until I make a major announcement, which would be on a community post, potentially a shorter long form video, and also in the Discord, links throughout chat, and in the and on the channel. But how about a movie where one of the heroes is hired to protect a VIP from an assassination, but it eventually cascades into him being manipulated into assassinating someone else, and this is when he questions the evils of other people's bidding to throw his powers away. Ooh, I like this idea. What if, I'm going to tweak it and see if we can fit it with the universe. So, movie where one of the heroes is hired to protect a VIP from an assassination. So, we had our group of heroes. We've had 2 of them die in the finale. That was our precognition character, Psionic Oracle, and our time traveler, Chrono Warden. They both died in the battles against the enigmatic leader in Chaos. So it's likely that the team of heroes had broken up to some degree, especially since Phoenix Guardian was exiled. And so what if there's been, say, a 2-year time jump? I'm just pulling the number 2 years out of my ass. It's just going to be a 2-year time jump. I love the idea, by the way. I'm going to see if we can fit this in. So if there's been, say, a 2-year time jump, the heroes have had minimal contact with one another. You have Phoenix Guardian not necessarily trying to redeem herself in the eyes of her teammates, but she's just trying to redeem herself for herself. And so with the new world leader president, now the evil enigmatic leader is gone, this could be like, not like an altruistic, new world leader, but definitely, a respected one. And with that being a new respected leader, she tries to be a bodyguard for this hero, for this villain, or for this leader, excuse me. And there's like a in the line of fire type of like, there's assassinations trying to come to this person, but maybe this is like Dr. Imperfect in disguise, and the audience, like us, the audience watching the movie, doesn't know that's Dr. Imperfect until another movie, in which case we finally remove Dr. Imperfect. Like by remove I mean like finish that character, get that character out, because we want to finish up this whole phase is about tying up loose ends. So we finished the Dr. Imperfect storylines, and so it's like flipping the assassinations, like you're saying, where it's like there's assassination on the hero, on this new leader, and so Phoenix Guardian's trying to protect this leader to redeem herself for herself, and it's like this, who's the real hero here? I'm a genius. It was your idea. All I'm doing is having it work in the universe in a way, whether it's the right way or like the best way or just a way. I'm just trying to find a way for it to fit in the universe and have it make somewhat sense. Questions the evils of other people and debating to throw powers away. Yeah, so what she would do is she had the betrayal in the end of phase 2, and now she's what are you whining about? And so now she's questioning, just having powers to begin with, and wants to just leave everything behind and just live a life away from everything. I like that. So let's actually go with that. So what points do we have? We have a time jump, number 1. Let's say no more than 4 years. Let's say I think 2 years is good. So generally speaking, from the moment that there was because our heroes, the idea of the world was it was a normal world that was actively reaching world peace. In the prologue the prologue to the universe, before the movies began, within the universe the world was achieving world peace. And then a neutron star exploded by that of a metaphysical being of chaos, creating superheroes, creating discourse, creating chaos, and removing the idea of world peace. And so with that led us through phase 2, and now And so from that point where the first movie really started to the end of phase 2, it's been like, I would say, year and 6 months. And so it hasn't been too long, but if we have a 2-year time jump, it's been a longer time jump from the deaths of Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden than it was from them all getting powers and them dying. So it's been a while, relatively. So I think 2 years is a good time jump. You write those in the Discord? All right. I gotta get Discord actually pulled up on my PC. Give me a second here, I gotta get Discord. I'm actually just using the browser form of Discord rather than the app. Also, just a reminder about the Discord is that it is salvaged from my older days streaming on Twitch. And so there's a lot of older stuff from like 2020, 2021, maybe even 2022 in there. So mind the older posts because I salvaged it from the past. So let us start phase 3 with a 2-year time jump from the end of phase 2. And one thing we want to keep in mind is when it comes to writing our prompts, we want to keep them concise. If we add too much, ChatGPT is not going to know what to do, and it's going to outright backfire on us. I remember one time I said, keep this character alive. We want to keep this character alive, and it killed the character. So it's because there's just too much input. So we have to keep our tasks simple and our prompts direct and concise. So start phase 3 with a 2-year time jump from the end of phase 2 to the start of this next project, which will be a movie. Have I walked in another suburb before? Sorry, I didn't get to. I didn't read that earlier. Thank you for reminding me. Have I walked in another suburb before? Yeah, I have. Suburbs in. For those who don't know, I'm from Minnesota. Yeah. I've walked to other suburbs before. It's usually a bit of a walk, but I've done it. But not like too far into another suburb. Like I just kind of walked in and walked back. So this would be a movie about Phoenix Guardian who has gone solo after her betrayal in phase 2. I'm gonna actually put that in parentheses rather than a clause. Look at me with my English pedigree that is actually nothing. Who has gone solo after phase 1? Trying to redeem herself in her own eyes by being the lead bodyguard for the newest world leader. Newest leader of the world. After the defeat of the enigmatic leader. There are... Make it an anagram of evildoer or something cheeky like that. Like the leader? I don't know if I think it's kind of been overdone that the leader itself is a villain. So what if the leader is like also in on it? So what if like she's the lead bodyguard, but there's still a step above her for the security of this leader, and that would be the villain. So it's kind of like a Earth King and Avatar and Long Feng situation, where it's like the true head of security is the true villain. And because I think like the leader themselves being evil, like we just did that. We don't want to replace one evil leader with another evil leader. I know that there's like that joke in politics that there are no good politicians, although you know that everyone's corrupt. But never had the pleasure of watching Avatar. I would highly recommend it. Avatar is one of my all-time favorite franchises personally. I could go on forever about Avatar. It's on Netflix. It's fantastic. The essential story of Avatar is it's a world that is heavily inspired by Asian cultures, that of mostly like Tibetan monks, Inuit Eskimos, Japanese, Chinese. It's heavily inspired by a lot of Chinese, not Chinese, but a lot of Asian cultures. And so the world itself is created of these primarily four nations that are made up of the different elements, those being air, water, earth, and fire. And they all have their own philosophies that relate to their elements, and even people within those societies can manipulate that elements, calling it bending, which is essentially a martial art that is an extension of oneself, and it's more than just magic. And so the characters, they kind of quote the introduction to every single episode. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony, but then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. Like I said, like there's a one being in this universe who can bend all four of the elements, and this person is reincarnated into the world after one dies. And this is the character of Aang. Aang here on the photo with the arrow. He's the Avatar. And he can bend all four elements. And so the story is about him trying to stop that Fire Nation from taking over the world. And that is the most I can tell about the world without getting into the spoilers of it. And so if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. A big part of the channel that I plan to use moving forward is talking about Avatar. Like, I have the show, I have a poster right there. The top of this entire bookshelf is only Avatar stuff. That's it. The top of this bookshelf is purely Avatar content. That isn't the show. Okay, the show is in the DVDs at the far end, but like that's all Avatar stuff. And then there's a sequel show called The Legend of Korra, which is about the next Avatar after this guy dies and is reincarnated after the end of the show. Grew up with Gravity Falls. I never watched Gravity Falls. What's that one like? Also, I'm going to finish typing this up after I read Nick's comments here. I saw Godzilla vs. Kong 2 on Saturday. I'm seeing it tomorrow because you had to go to the bathroom on Saturday and you saw it. Oh my god. I hate having to go to the bathroom during the movies. I'm still trying to find the right strategy to avoid doing it. Have you seen Gumball? I have watched clips of it, but that show is after my childhood. I've seen clips of it and it gets really funny. But it's after my time, actually. It's a town where all the conspiracies are real. It's amazing. Ooh. I know it has like connections to Rick and Morty. Like Grunkle Stan is like, they make like reference, like Rick and Morty, and that like make references to each other. Two kids go to live with their weird great uncle over the summer, but he's a scammer. Isn't J.K. Simmons a voice in that? Reports of an assassination on this leader, though these are political games being pulled by a... So this would almost be like a whodunit. Ooh. What if we... Okay, before I send this, what if we tweak this so it's a whodunit? So what if there was an assassination? Kind of like it's like a whodunit with a cop story, and like this would then lead to there being maybe not another assassination, but a wrongful accusation that would lead to Phoenix Guardian then questioning her beliefs. There's some sort of really heavy stuff implied with human sacrifice, death cults, and eldritch horrors. And oh, you like that too? Okay, let's see if we can kind of flip this here. Because then she can still be the leader. Then we can kind of go away from the whole like. There's, you know, it kind of making a whodunit would actually kind of make it a good trope rather than just like make it be like Civil War and it's like, oh, we have the heroes battle each other. It's like, no, you have a whodunit, so it's like purposely made to have that question, but it's still like, this is what I'm thinking, like where we go against the grain of traditional superhero movies and we actively make something new. And so the worst part is that this is all text, and when my videos, like, I'm not super tech savvy, and that's why all the all the videos are like just like JPEGs I find and create from AI, and you know, fade in and out in simple transitions, and trying to provide what visual aid I know I can give. So let's see here. I actually went right into my editing. All right, so let's kind of edit this where we can. Let's start phase 3 with a 2-year time jump from the end of phase 2 to the start of the next project, which would be a movie, a whodunit style movie. That's actually how you spell whodunit, by the way. About Phoenix Guardian, who has gone solo after her betrayal in phase 2, trying to redeem herself in her own eyes by being the lead bodyguard for the newest leader of the world after the defeat of the enigmatic leader. There are there is an assassination of another political figure and the rest, and after the killer is revealed, again, like a whodunit, please reveal who it would be, if possible. Please, ChatGPT, please reveal who it would be if possible. Reveal who it would be. We might have to change who it would be, because this is a pretty long command, and a lot of times it will go back on a command. Like if we say reveal who it would be, it'd be like, and the character is revealed to be a character from the movie, and it's super vague. So we might have to like pull some teeth in getting it to tell us who it would be, even if it's just an original character in the movie. And that's the worst part about this, is that it's not like a perfect synopsis scene by scene movie. It's pretty... I'm just putting it this way. I'm now starting to see why teachers are able to pick out if an essay is written with ChatGPT. Let's put it that way. I'm going to put it clear. After the killer is revealed, Phoenix Guardian begins to question her validity as a superhero. I feel like this needs this. I feel the need to sleep soon, so I'll probably go in 5. Like I said, this will probably be the only project we really do today. And so, I don't know, we might do another project after this, but I just kind of want to see where this goes. I love this idea. It's fantastic. I never thought to do a whodunit. This is a good idea. Maybe it would be a leader of a secret organization dedicated to disbanding superheroes. I think the Foundation. This already sort of exists. So, what if it's like a lingering follower of the enigmatic leader whose whole thing was shutting down the superheroes? So I'm going to erase this. Love you some SCP. Never got into that stuff. Or maybe I did and I just didn't know it. I don't know. After killer is revealed, who ends up being a lingering member of the a lingering follower of the enigmatic leader. Phoenix Guardian begins to question her validity as a superhero. Alright, I'm going to reread this one more time to make sure we have everything the way we want it. Let's start Phase 3 with a 2-year time jump from the end of Phase 2 to the start of this next project, which will be a whodunit style movie about Phoenix Guardian who has gone solo after her betrayal in Phase 2, trying to redeem herself in her own eyes by being the lead bodyguard for the newest leader of the world after the defeat of the enigmatic leader. There is an assassination of another political figure and after the killer is revealed, who ends up being a lingering follower of the enigmatic leader, Phoenix Guardian begins to question her validity as a superhero. Mangog or Dry Bowser? Still Mangog. Again, Dry Bowser's a fire-breathing turtle, but just a skeleton now. I think we're good. And I'm going to scroll up so that way that fully finishes typing out and we can read it all together. It's been a while since we've done this. It's so much fun. All right. Again, ignore everything here. This is BS. Don't read this. This is ChatGPT being stupid. So like Chrono Warden. First of all, Chrono Warden's dead. Aerosylph's villains. Not one of these was Aerosylph's villains. Spectre Surge's villains. None of these were characters in this universe. Phoenix Guardian's villains. None of those were characters in this universe. Temporal Enchantress's villains. She was a villain. She never had villains. This is bullshit. Bullshit. That was never Sonic Oracle's name. His name was Alex Smith. Kevin, you're incredible. Thank you so much. You're incredible, Nick. That's what it is. You're incredible. No, you're breathtaking. Alright. Also, the Einar Magnusson is the only correct name here. That's all bullshit. Ignore it. Title, Ashes of Redemption. I appreciate not having everything be subtitled anymore. Like, every title of the movies were like super... They're just mouthfuls. 2 years have passed since the cataclysmic events that ended Phase 2, and the world is still reeling from the aftermath of the enigmatic leader's reign. In the wake of chaos and uncertainty, Phoenix Guardian, seeking redemption for her past betrayal, embarks on a solitary journey to prove herself as a true hero. Alright, before I leave, I've had this idea for a little bit. A villain with the ability to self-censor anyone he interacts with, forgets he ever existed, and anyone killed by him is affected the same. That's interesting. I don't know how it would fit in the world that we have here. If there's a way we can get it to work, I think it would be a great idea. But outside that by itself, I think is a great idea. How do you kill somebody you don't even know? How do you fight a war against an enemy with perfect invisibility? I feel like we're getting too close to our shapeshifter character of Dr. Imperfect, whose like whole shtick is you have no idea who this person is at any given time. So as a matter of fact, this follower of the enigmatic leader, who we said was going to be the killer in this movie, very well could be the Dr. Imperfect, who is like our version of this character, a version of a character like that already in this universe, because we never see Dr. Imperfect's true form. We don't know it. It's purposefully ambiguous. The reason it's Dr. Imperfect is because Doctor is an androgynous title. that can be held by a man or a woman. So we already kind of have a character like that. It's not a censorship character, but it's a mystery character. That's okay, we haven't really used them. Dr. Imperfect, last time Dr. Imperfect was used was in a movie that got the enigmatic leader into power, and then he or she promptly disappears. And Dr. Imperfect played like 5 characters in that movie. Like, all of the main characters of that movie are all Dr. Imperfect at different times. Because we made it so like the characters never truly interact with one another. And so it's revealed to the audience in a twist that all of these characters were actually Dr. Imperfect, pulling the strings behind the scenes to get the enigmatic leader into power to remove heroes. They apparently had some deal, and so the enigmatic leader like works with these villains to control everything, because the enigmatic leader was your classic like control villain. So let's see what we have here. Act 1, A New Beginning. The world in transition. With the defeat of the enigmatic leader, the world struggles to rebuild and forge a new path forward under the leadership of a new yet untested global authority. Phoenix Guardian's quest. Haunted by her past mistakes, Phoenix Guardian seeks redemption by taking on the role of bodyguard to the newly appointed leader of the world, determining to protect and serve at any cost. Alright, well I've loved this, it's gotten late, excited to see the next stream, and I'll be active on Discord. Title is Total Misplay. Good night. Have a good night, Squid. You have a phenomenal night. We will see you in the next stream. The next ChatGPT stream will be next Wednesday, starting roughly around the same time. I try to get started sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock my time. For reference, it's 9:25 p.m. for me right now. And so try to get started sometime between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. And all streams usually try to start around that time. And if we're not on a Wednesday, it's usually playing video games like Batman Arkham Knight was the game we're going through at the moment. So, see ya! Thanks for stopping by. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for this idea. This was fantastic. So, we have Leader World determined to protect and serve at any cost. Assassination plot. As tensions simmer and old grudges linger, a sinister plot to assassinate a prominent political figure threatens to plunge the world into chaos once more. Act 2. Unraveling secrets. Investigation begins. Phoenix Guardian springs into action, investigating the assassination plot with fierce determination to uncover the truth and prevent further bloodshed. Clues and suspects. With each clue uncovered, Phoenix Guardian delves deeper into the shadows of conspiracy, confronting a web of deceit and betrayal that leads her to unexpected revelations. Lingering follower. The trail of breadcrumbs leads Phoenix Guardian to a lingering follower of the enigmatic leader, whose fanatical devotion to their fallen master threatens to shatter the fragile peace. Act 3. Trial by Fire. Showdown. In a heart-pounding climax, Phoenix Guardian confronts the assassin in a dramatic showdown, battling not only against physical threat, but also against the doubts and insecurities that threaten to consume her. Redemption and resolve. Through sheer determination and unwavering courage, Phoenix Guardian emerges victorious, thwarting the assassination plot and proving her worth as a hero in the eyes of the world. Personal revelation. Despite her success, Phoenix Guardian grapples with lingering doubts and insecurities, realizing that true redemption comes not from external validation, but from within. And then, of course, the little flavor text, just kind of reconfirming things about the movie that ChatGPT just kind of adds its own opinion. And so, part 1 of phase 3 is in the books, a whodunit that kickstarts Phoenix Guardian's doubt, and that would be bookended with a story involving a cure or a treatment that Phoenix Guardian would cook up that would lead to the removal of superheroes by voluntary measures, by characters actively choosing to take it and leave their powers behind. So I love this idea. Um, Squid, you also had the ideas. I know you said you went away. I'm just kind of mentioning. You also had the ideas for like the character who like can control blood. I don't know if that'll work. I think the censorship idea would work better, but I think that'll work better is like using Doctor Imperfect, so that way we're not just creating new characters, and we can actively tie up the ends that we have of existing characters. So, with Imperfect, I kind of want to hold off on Imperfect. I want to actively like think up a genuinely great idea for Imperfect. So we might save like the Imperfect story, the Doctor Imperfect story, for the next stream. But this was a phenomenal idea. I think this was a great way to kickstart the next phase, because it picks up right, kind of not right where we left off. Of course, it's been a couple of years in the universe, but we pick up where we leave off in terms of like the story being told. And so, what would be like if this is where Phoenix Guardian is 2 years after? Where is everybody else? Like, Doctor Imperfect is somewhere. This could be Doctor Imperfect, or Doctor Imperfect could have played a role in this movie. You know? And then you have what else happened here? So Spectra Surge is still around, Temporal Enchantress is still around, Aerosylph is still around. I feel like Aerosylph and Spectra Surge haven't done a lot. Like, they had their first movies, which was just their own movies. They've appeared a few times throughout. You know, what other ideas did I write down here? Phase 2, each more... Yeah. We had that for Phase 2. Doctor Perfect sets up future conflict, like a spy movie. Yeah, we had that. Chaos Conjurer is absorbed by chaos. That's right, we had that idea. Like, that whole, like, characters don't die, they get, like, promoted into, these other things. What does RSL stand for? RSL stand mean? RSL stand. What? I don't know. I don't know what RSL stand is. And then we had, yeah, the ideas of like characters die, retire, they get promoted into other, you know, like RSL Club. I think that's an Australian thing. I feel like that's an Australian thing. What does RSL stand for? To me, those are just letters. And of course, I had the note here that Phoenix Guardian's betrayal happens immediately after Psionic Oracle's sacrifice. In case I wanted to do something with that, but I mean, I don't have any like big ideas in that regard of like like just racking my brain right now. What would be a good next project? We've come up with 2 ideas already. We came up with the idea for the finale of the universe of it being like the cure, and this cure is going to be the savior for like it's not the savior, it's going to be the I'm rambling at this point, my brain is fried. Like the this is gonna be a there's gonna be finality. There's gonna be the choice of leaving. Like, it's gonna start with the mirroring is that the world is gonna start without the choice of our heroes. They have to become heroes. They're given the powers. They're each one is one of 30 people or so, one of 25 to 30 people that were just randomly given powers. So naturally they have to step up and help the little guy, you know, great power, great responsibility thing. And the world should end with the choice to leave it behind if they choose. And I love that idea. I think we should stick with that, but I can't quite write that movie yet. So we kind of did write 2 movies in an hour 45, and my brain is toast right now. Absolutely toasted. I was sitting here like, oh god, like what should we, I can't come up with another idea. So I don't have, let's see if we can just kind of come up with another idea just in general, like not maybe we don't come up with another like prompt, like we don't type anything in ChatGPT. But what if we just come up with like another general decent idea that we can hold on to going into next week? I think that'll be good. So let's just do that. A lot less pressure coming up with something like that. So we come up with like 2 great ideas, and then we come up with 1 movie and then 2 other great ideas for later on. So I think it's smart. Like, what if we do a Spectre Surge and because I feel like we should show off Spectre Surge and Aerosylph a little bit more, because those characters were used the least, to be perfectly honest. So what would be a good movie for them? Maybe they're trying, maybe it's just those 2 in Temporal Enchantress. Like, what if those 2 are having trouble being heroes? Like, after the deaths of Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden. Because those 2, Aerosylph and Spectre Surge, were not around for the Temporal Enchantress redemption. That was Chrono Warden. You know, like, Chrono Warden was around for that. And so, if he was around for that, he, like, actively saw her go through shit with death. We all remember death in this universe. That literal, like, Grim Reaper, like, metaphysical being of death. Temporal Enchantress was the servant and the herald of death, as her powers were aging and de-aging. What if the loss of Chrono Warden and Psionic Oracle, and then the betrayal of Phoenix Guardian, who's now gone solo, half the team is gone, Aerosylph and Spectre Surge are the only 2 original members of the heroes left, you know, in that team? What if they are struggling with being heroes, and Temporal Enchantress inspires them to keep going? Like, what if that happens? Right? In which case, like, would this be like your generic heroes villain going up against them? Like, is there another way we can twist this, like how we made a whodunit here? What would be this next movie? So thinking here, if Aerosylph and Spectre Surge are having doubts as being heroes themselves, or let's just say having doubts in keeping the team alive, because so many of them, like, so much has happened, so much has changed. And so, like, Spectre Surge is claustrophobic, Aerosylph is acrophobic, fear of tight spaces and the fear of flying. So not either one of them. Maybe one of them like self-medicates and drinks a lot or gets high a lot. Maybe it's like there's like depression going on. So maybe this is a person versus self, in the sense of like this, like the whodunit wasn't a person versus self. There was an undertone and a subplot that's going to push the story forward that was person versus self. But what if this next movie is actually person versus self, and it's almost Joker-like? Like with Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, of course, that like who's the villain in Joker? Like, who, I shouldn't say villain, but who's the antagonist? Society. So there isn't, like, when you watch Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie, there isn't, you know, you can't say like who's the villain. Oh, well, it can't be Batman. Bruce Wayne's just a kid. Like, what if in this next movie it's similar in that sense, but it's not like fighting against society, it's fighting against yourself. And so it's Spectra Surge and Aerosylph. Those two are the only two left. And what if, okay, so what, it's not like they still have each other, so like in the story they are going to have each other, so it's hard to say that they're alone and they've lost so much if they still have each other. So what if we have the decision of having Aerosylph leave? Like, she actively tries to leave everything behind, and she goes back to Brazil and is, you know, trying to keep her, like, just distance herself, be a hero, but only in Rio. And now you have Spectra Surge. And Spectra Surge, being a very defensive-minded hero, he had his super, his force fields, he has his energy waves. What if he develops a drinking thing? He doesn't really know Temporal Enchantress all too well, all things considered. And so at their, like, layer, at their base of operations, you know, it's just Spectra Surge and Temporal Enchantress now, as Aerosylph has left. And so with Phoenix Guardian off doing her own thing, Chrono Warden and Psionic Oracle are dead, Aerosylph leaves to try to start anew as a hero purely in Rio, and that leaves Spectra Surge, then the only hero left of our original 5 in that space, with the new hero, relatively new hero of Temporal Enchantress. And so what if Spectra Surge starts self-medicating? And so it's a movie about Temporal Enchantress trying to save Spectra Surge and then keep the team alive by also convincing Aerosylph to come back. And so there isn't a villain in this movie. It's just these characters trying to grieve. And maybe it's not a movie. Maybe it's just like a mini-series. It's like a 4 to 6 episode mini-series tackling that grief from the finale of phase 2. And so what, yeah, I honestly, I like this idea. And it gives the other heroes some time in the spotlight. It's, I don't know if we need a villain for it. Like, maybe, but like, because Squid's ideas for villains was the, what was the term that was used? A hemivore, a blood eater. It's like, I don't know if we need a Blood Eater. What if Temporal Enchantress not necessarily goes back into being a villain, but she is the antagonist in the sense that if Spectre Surge is kind of the lead of this movie, if there is a lead, it'd probably be a Spectre Surge. It's Temporal Enchantress who's reteaching how to be a hero to these characters. So honestly, I think we can type this up, and this will be the end of the stream, is coming up with this idea. Let's, moving into the next project, let's have it focus on Spectre Surge, Arrow Sylph, and Temporal Enchantress. Plus, this is actually pretty interesting because having these three characters left, Spectre Surge male, Arrow Sylph female, Temporal Enchantress female, in almost every single property you can imagine, there is the trio of three heroes is almost always 2 boys and 1 girl. And the one boy is usually always the hero, like the lead. We'll start with Avatar. Aang, Sokka, Katara. Star Wars. Luke, Leia, Han. Chewie there is, of course, as well, but in terms of the 3 human leads, Luke, Leia, Han. Percy Jackson. Percy, Grover, Annabeth. Harry Potter. Harry, Ron, Hermione. Hunger Games flipped it. You have Katniss, who's the lead, but you have Peeta and Gale. What else follows this? Star Wars prequels. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme. Star Wars sequels. Poe, Finn, and Rey. Almost every story that you can think of. Any else down there? Narnia, no. Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, no. Percy Jackson, Harry Potter. Maximum Ride, no. Avatar in the beginning, yes. Hello, Ginky Ha. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right. But this is different. You have Arrow Sylph and Temporal Enchantress, 2 females and 1 male. We flipped that on its head, where you have the 2 females and 1 male. We're coming up with the second project of Phase 3, and it's just about taking all my brain power that I had left from the day. We came up with a great idea for the first movie of Phase 3, and it was fantastic. I'm going to try to finish this idea because right now it's only in my head and I don't want to forget it. So, moving to the next project, let's have it focus on Spectre Surge, Arrow Sylph, and Temporal Enchantress. Hi, Hero. How's it going? I really want to make sure that I get this down before I forget it. All 3 of our heroes are grieving. That's how you spell grieving, right? And are grieving the loss of their friends Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden, and the betrayal of Phoenix Guardian. Arrow Sylph decides to fly back to Rio, where she attempts to restart her superhero life, which leads... How is everything going? Been going fantastic, Hero. How has everything been going for you? Restart her superhero life, which leads to Spectre Surge, resulting Spectre Surge resorting, that's the word I'm looking for, resorting to alcoholism. It's been good? Good. I'm glad to hear it. This let's have it be a mini-series. No. Should this be a mini-series or a movie? Because when I thought of the ideas of doing a mini-series, it's like, yeah, let's make this a mini-series. Like, the reason I'm making this a mini-series is because it's overall, like, not going to be super grand important to the overall story, but it's a story that I want to have told that, like, if it's a movie, it's direct, you need it, it's going to be important for the next project, moving things forward. But the mini-series have been, like, filling out the lore, expanding on things, and it's a lesser important story for the overall narrative, but for the fans who like really love the universe, you can hop in and like really get to know a lot more of the characters. And so I think because this movie has no villain, or this project would have no villain, it'd be about alcoholism and bringing in, you know, kind of, you know, ending this project with which direction the characters are going to be going in and continuing. I think it'll be important to have, but it's not going to be like necessary. Like, it's going to be helpful but not necessary in terms of if people in this hypothetical world where these movies and projects do exist, it's not going to be as important. So that's why I give it that mini-series treatment. And so decides to fly back to Rio, where she attempts to restart her superhero life, which leads to Spectre Surge resorting to alcoholism. Very cool idea. Oh, thank you. This one so far has been entirely me. I will take full credit for this project. Everything up here was tweaked by me, but it was another viewer from YouTube, Mr. Squid 803, came up with the core of this idea, and it's fantastic. It's a whodunit with Phoenix Guardian being who questions her validity as a hero, and it's a great idea to kind of kickstart Phase 3 by answering an important question from the end of Phase 2. And so this next movie is just kind of like keeping our characters, like, you know, checking in on them. This is like a checkup kind of movie. Miniseries focus on a miniseries be a miniseries focusing on Spectre Surge, Aerosylph, and Temporal Enchantress. And I'll call it person/people versus self. That's what it is. It's a person versus self story. Main story comes from Temporal Enchantress, the past villain, now hero, trying to help Spectre Surge recover. What if we flip the timeline here? So we had a 2-year time jump, right? What if this project takes place within the 2-year time jump? So this would take place before this project. For those who are just coming in, at the end of Phase 2, we had decided, as it says here in the text, that we had a 2-year time jump. So that way there was some time, because I guesstimate it's about 1 year and 3 months, 1 year and 6 months from when characters first get their powers to the end of Phase 2. That there be a relatively large time jump going into Phase 3. I want to keep that for this movie and the purpose for this movie, but I want to flip the order of release. This miniseries would actually be released before this movie, or at least it takes place beforehand. they're unrelated, so the projects aren't gonna, you know, step over each other at all. So it's pretty easy to flip this over. But I think in our heads we can kind of have this project be shortly after the events of Phase 2. So I'm actually gonna add that. Shortly after the end of Phase 2 and the funerals of Chrono Warden and Psionic Oracle. Temporal Enchantress is trying to helping Spectre Surge recover from his alcoholism and trying to keep Aerosylph involved as much as possible. They're trying to keep Aerosylph involved with the team as much as possible. Let me read this. Moving into the next project, let's have it be a person versus, or people versus self miniseries focusing on Spectre Surge, Aerosylph, and Temporal Enchantress. All three of our heroes are grieving the loss of their friends, Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden, and the betrayal of Phoenix Guardian. Aerosylph decides to fly back to Rio, where she attempts to restart her superhero life, which leads to Spectre Surge resorting to alcoholism. The main story comes shortly after the end of Phase 2 and the funerals of Chrono Warden and Psionic Oracle. Temporal Enchantress, the past villain, now hero, is helping Spectre Surge recover from his alcoholism and trying to keep Aerosylph involved with the team as much as possible. I'll get rid of as much as possible. Keeping Aerosylph involved with the team. In the end, she succeeds, though the question of keeping things going team together is still being asked. I think this is a good prompt here. And we're going to end on this prompt. We've gone over 2 hours. I'm brain dead. We have an idea for the finale as well. I just don't want to write that down in a prompt yet. I have it written down in a notebook. We came up with it earlier. It's essentially like the X-Men Last Stand, having a medicinal element that is able to remove the powers of our characters voluntarily, and whether the characters should be allowed to stop being heroes if they want to or not. The universe starts with the characters being forced into a life of being a hero. If presented with the option to leave it behind and go back to being normal, should they take it? And that's what I think what we're going to end the universe with, is that question. Because it did start with it being no choice. There was an event that caused them to become heroes, and they were forced to help. You know, kind of Spider-Man, great power, great responsibility type of thing. They were forced to do it. So at the end of everything, where there's no more villains left, should they be allowed to leave everything behind if they want to? So that's the idea for like what the finale of the universe is going to be. And so we're just coming up with like laying down the seeds for that question leading up to it, and then some characters would leave everything behind and some characters won't. So I'm gonna go and send this through. I think we're good. And there it goes. We're just gonna, boom. There we go. We're just going to let that go. This will be the last project of the day. We effectively wrote like half of what phase 3 would end up being today. And I think we're going to have... I think this is going to be the best phase thus far. Like phase 1... At the end of phase 1, everything kind of just sounded the same. Phase 2, every project was unique in the sense that every project was like continuing a story. And then phase 3, like we're taking it one step further and using different like story structures. Like we're doing a whodunit, and then now we're doing a person versus self you know, recovering from like mental health kind of story. You know, it's definitely different stuff. So let's go ahead and take a read of the next project of phase 3. Shadows of Grief. Synopsis. Set in the turbulent aftermath of Phase 2, Shadows of Grief is a poignant miniseries that delves into the deeper inner struggles of Spectre Surge, Arrow Sylph, and Temporal Enchantress as they grapple with loss, betrayal, and the challenges of rebuilding their shattered lives. Episode 1, Echoes of Loss. Funerals and Farewells. The heroes gather to bid farewell to their fallen comrades, Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden, as they lay them to rest amidst somber ceremonies and heartfelt eulogies. Aerosylph's retreats. Overwhelmed by grief and guilt, Aerosylph retreats to her hometown of Rio, seeking solace in the familiar streets and skies where her superhero journey began. Spectre Surge's descent. Struggling to cope with the weight of his losses, Spectre Surge spirals into a downward spiral. I may tweak that line in the Phase 3 recap video. Normally I read these verbatim. I'm probably going to change that line. So I'll probably do something like, struggling to cope with the weight of his losses, Spectre Surge plummets in a downward spiral of self-destructive behavior, drowning his sorrows in alcohol and isolation. Drowning his sorrows in alcohol and isolation. Like, that's the voice I do for the videos. It's so for that line, I would be like, Spectre Surge's descent. Struggling to cope with the weight of his losses, Spectre Surge falls in a downward spiral of self-destructive behavior, drowning his sorrows in alcohol and isolation. You know, do something like that. And so, I could almost be a voice actor. Episode 2, Shadows of the Past. A chance encounter. Temporal Enchantress crosses paths with Spectre Surge during his darkest hour, recognizing the signs of his struggle and offering a guiding hand to help him find his way back from the brink. Aerosylph's reckoning. Confronted by memories of her past and the ghosts of her failures, Aerosylph must confront her inner demons and find the strength to embrace her role as a hero once more. Temper's Flare. Tensions simmer as old wounds resurface and Temper's Flare... Tensions simmer as old wounds resurface and Temper's Flare... Okay, I see where Temper's Flare is repeated. Within the fractured team, threatening to tear them apart when they just need each other the most. Episode 3, Into the Light. A beacon of hope. Temporal Enchantress emerges as a beacon of hope and resilience, rallying her teammates and reminding them of the importance of unity and solidarity in the face of adversity. Facing the future. With the support of her friends, Aerosylph finds the courage to confront her past and embrace her future, determined to honor the memory of those she lost by forging a new path forward. Reconciliation and renewal. As the sun sets on their darkest days, the heroes find strength in each other and their bonds that unite them, reaffirming their commitment to justice, redemption, and the enduring power of hope. Only 3 episodes, and you know what? I think it's okay to only be about 3 episodes. Like I said, it's a mini-series. It's not a limited series where it's like, you know, WandaVision, where it's like, it's an 8-episode limited series. It's like, this is a mini-series. Like, each episode might be an hour and 10 minutes long. You know, like, we're dragging this story along in a good way. we're making sure to really get this to hit home, you know? And so having 3 episodes, I think this is a good continuation, a good slice of where our heroes are at. It still asks that question. Like, the biggest thing with Phase 3 so far is questioning, do we need heroes anymore? And, you know, the heroes need each other at the very least when this story shows. But do they need their powers with each other? Or do they just need that camaraderie of friendship? So I think I actually low-key love this. Love this project. I know it was all my idea for this one, but it's a really cool idea. And I love it coming like after this like big, like whodunit, super like dark kind of story in the sense of like there's a lot of shit happening. It's a detective story, and suddenly it's just like, halt! And this actually what takes place beforehand, so it's like, actually we're coming out of Phase 2. I'd actually, if I had like every idea laid out, I'd actually have this kickstart Phase 3. Kickstart with another mini-series. And have it just like, because you have Psionic Oracle and Chrono Warden, the graves there. Actually, maybe keep it in this in terms of like a release order. So I might still have this be afterwards, and having the funerals to kickstart the project will help put it in the timeline. You know, put it as like this would take place beforehand, because the funerals happen in episode 1. You know, this whole story would actually take place before this, but this would be released before this. Either way, we have 2 fantastic projects in Phase 3 to kickstart everything. We have a great idea to cap everything off at the end in a nice little bow of, we will have my dog fell asleep, by the way. He's snoring. It's a big, do we need heroes? And I love that. So I don't know when I'm going live again. ChatGPT's Phase 3 Part 2 stream will be next Wednesday. As of right now, I still plan to do it next Wednesday. I might save it for next Thursday. So actually, if that happens, I will make sure to make an announcement, just because Wednesdays have been the consistent streams. If it happens to be the case where we hold off until Thursday, I will make sure you all know promptly. So, for those who stopped by, thank you for coming by. Next stream will happen when it happens. Last question. Nick, do I know Lobo from DC? Yes, I do. I do know Lobo. The Sarnian anti-hero / villain in Superman's Rogues Gallery. And is like immortal and shit and super powerful. He's actually in my DC, how I would do the DCU. He's in my Supergirl movie and my finale. So he makes a couple appearances. Not much, but he's always good when he's in there. So watch Phase 4. He's only in Phase 4. If you want just Lobo, he's only in the Phase 4 video. He doesn't appear in Phases 1 through 3. But anyways, thank you all for coming. Next stream will happen when it happens. ChatGPT Phase 2 video will happen either next Wednesday or next Thursday, I'm guessing. If it doesn't happen Wednesday, I very well could be hanging out with my family on Wednesday, and if I don't stream Wednesday, I will try to stream next Thursday. Not like a week from tomorrow, next Thursday. That being the whatever, yeah. Lobo or Ghost Rider? Lobo. Ghost Rider's Lobo's not allowed to die. He's immortal, and so I'm confident that Ghost Rider's penance stare would have no effect on Lobo. But at the end of the day, the writers can do whatever they want, and so either character could beat each other, but if I were writing that story, I would say Lobo cannot die, and the Penance Snare would not work, because Lobo's soul is not allowed to go to the underworld. That is the last question I'll answer. I'm tired as hell. My brain is dead. So, thank you all for coming by. You all have a phenomenal night and a very lovely rest of your day.